The local Premiership enters week 5 this weekend with some mouth-watering encounters that will see Bulawayo fans getting to witness a second derby in 2 weeks when starting Bulawayo City host defeating Giants Highlanders at Babourfields Stadium. This is the 7th episode of the Siqalo podcast. My name is Washington Sibanda, aka Marasta. Today with me is Sakheleni Nxumalo. The local Premiership enters week 5. And so far, we have seen Highlanders being able to pick up their first set of maximum points. What have been the major highlights for you in the 5 weeks of the local Premiership?
Well, I wonder if the Highlanders fans will agree with you when you say they are fighting giants. Well, the results have not been favouring them of late. But last week they managed to beat Wawa by 2-0. It was a dominant display from them, although it wasn't a convincing display because they created so many chances which they failed to utilize. But I think the fans and also the Highlanders technical team will take solace from the fact that it was the first time that they managed to score a goal since the start of the 2021-2022 Castle Premiership soccer season. So they are going to look forward to picking up another set of points so that they get their campaign back on track. But on the other hand, Bulawayo City, things have not been going well for them because they are the log anchors sitting on just 1 point from the 4 games that they have played. And so I think it's going to be quite a tall order for them to try and beat Highlanders at Babourfields. Both teams use Babourfields as their home base, but Highlanders have been using BF for quite a longer period. And it's not a secret that Highlanders enjoy the biggest chunk of support when it comes to football here in Bulawayo. But it's a derby, and anything can happen in a derby. Although I don't know if my friend Fortune Bele will agree that it's a derby. Because back in the day, you know, we had derbies between Highlanders and Zimbabwe Saints, and later on between Highlanders and Amazulu. And throughout the whole week, you will find people talking about that game. And the fans will even be fighting in Shapins and wherever they meet, because there will be so much emotions involved. But now I don't think that's happening anymore.
So what has really changed? We know so when ukuthi khono kwesasubona kudala nxa ibosses adlala leMazulu. That build up yabona wonke umuntu ebekwazi ukuthi this weekend. What has really changed? It's look at we derby sibili Boso versus Bulawayo City, Boso versus Bulawayo Chiefs.
Well, to a certain extent, I believe Bulawayo lapha also kungaba yiderby. It's the game between Chicken Inn and the Bulawayo Chiefs, because these guys have got their tour going on social media. You know, Chavas at Bulawayo Chiefs there, and also Unkala at Chicken Inn, and these guys are constantly going at each other. So I think this kind of maybe goes on to become a rivalry that they take to social media, but also onto the field. We saw last weekend McLeod like also coming into the picture and saying 3 points yasetshenziswa angeke ngidliwe ngabantu beTwitter ibhora kalidlalelwa on Twitter. So that's what makes a derby. That emotion, those subplots all around the match, that's what creates a derby for me, and that's what's missing right now when it comes to Bulawayo football.
Indeed. So Bulawayo City will be hoping to pick maximum points for the first time this season when they play fighting giants. I think I will still fighting giants. But we needed last week, but they're still yet to score a goal
from open play.
I must say, Pisla, of course, it's the story for another day. We did manage to attend the 2 pressers in Bulawayo City, the Highlanders Football Club. And this is what the 2 coaches yet to say in regards to the match that is upcoming this weekend.
We're playing Highlanders on Sunday. It is a big game to everybody. We're really under pressure since we're coming from a loss. But I'm confident the boys will rise. It is a work in progress. We have lost certain players when we thought perhaps we were about to click and spring results. but then we lost the essential players. So at the same time now, we are also on a rebuilding exercise, trying combinations here and there, but we are ready on Sunday. We will play according to the way we train.
Umdlalo lo Bulawayo City umdlalo lo omkhulu kakhulu umdlalo wabakhelwane phela lo ukuthi mina lapha ngampheka inkukhu lawe use uyezwa ukuthi namhla kupheka inkukhu sithina ndawonye so umdlalo omkhulu kakhulu abantu abangasoze bekukhangele phansi lami ngumqeqeshi ngikhangele phansi noma bona bephansi kweloko kodwa abadlali babo ngibona bathi ithuba lokuthi labo betshengisele ukuthi bona bangadlala bangakanani nxa bedlala le team enkulu njenge Highlanders kodwa ngizathemba bayi uzaba umdlalo omnandi esawulanda ngesona
So uPhilani usekhulumile uthi they are under pressure, they are really under pressure, but he's hoping that his boys will come to the party on Sunday.
Yes, like I indicated earlier, when it comes to derbies, current form does not count for anything because these are people that stay together. These are people that maybe grew up together. These are people that also maybe grew up playing junior football together. So during the week, they will be having a go at each other. You know, like you find a youngster like El Shama at Bulawayo City. He grew up watching Uraman Kutanzira at Highlanders. So Uraman will be like, and these youngsters will be saying, so anything can happen on Derby Day, and that's what Philani is also banking on. His boys are going to lift their game, and even Umandla also admitted to that. When it comes to derbies, the coaches and the coaching that will have happened during the week may be thrown out of the window as the players take the game by the scruff of the neck, depending on how they've been interacting throughout the week. So anything can happen, and you could be surprised to see Bulawayo City picking up their first set of full points at the expense of Highlanders at the weekend.
But those are blind. Just look at Bulawayo City. They've lost a number of few players, but they've brought in new faces. Brian Giant, the chicken is there. Dominic Jarita is on loan from Bulawayo Chiefs. Of course, Ukilan is speaking highly of Jarita. He didn't get much game time at Highlanders. He has a point to prove against his former paymasters. Do you think Ukutenga Dada on Sunday is going to justify his inclusion into the team?
Well, the good thing about young players is that they follow instructions. So he's got quite a number of players in his team that is Coach Beefy. So if the players play according to the coach's instructions, usually the team gets a positive result. So hopefully they're going to stick to the script and work according to how they have planned and prepared during the week, and hopefully for them the result is going to be positive. When I saw Highlanders last Sunday, I saw that there is still a lot that they need to polish up, and they were never really tested by Wawa. So if Bulawayo City take the game to Highlanders, they might find themselves maybe coming out with a good result. Because what matters is that they should not respect Highlanders, and Coach Beefy did allude to that. He said, we are not going to respect Highlanders as our bigger brothers. He said we respect them as a team that has been around for quite some time, but they don't fear them. And respecting Highlanders does not give them anything. So what they've got to do is they've got to take the game to Highlanders from the onset, attack Highlanders, ask questions of that Highlanders defense, which wasn't tested by Wawa. And you know, with youngsters are fearless. Youngsters have got youthful exuberance. So they can capitalize on that to try and get a positive result against Highlanders.
So Highlanders will be counting on the likes of Ostendi Ngala. So you watched the match against the Wawa. He was involved in the first goal. He was brought down outside the box. Would you say what is the striker that Highlanders really need like now to deliver those goals? Because I think they've been creating chances, but they've been failing to score those goals.
What stood out for me in that game is that the Highlanders strikers are lacking in confidence. The weekend game, how their confidence levels are going to turn out will depend whether they maybe played some training games during the week, because the trick is when your strikers are lacking or when your players are lacking in confidence, you invite a team from the lower divisions, and in that training game you are assured of getting quality chances, and if your strikers then convert those chances, their confidence levels then begin to rise again. So it will depend on what they did, on what the technical team did to try and raise their confidence levels, because they did create those chances. And as a coach, that creation of chances is a very good thing. A coach should be worried if his team is not creating any chances. But as long as the team is creating chances, then what he has got to do is to try and get them to become confident. Befake amaphaphu phansi, and then convert those chances. And getting to play with a minor league team can do the trick.
So wait to see whether Highlanders will continue with those from where they left against Wawa, or if Bulawayo City they'll pick up themselves and bounce back to winning ways. Remember, they lost last weekend to Tenex. Then lastly, Skangeli Presale Bulawayo City. Pilani Beef said something, and in quotes, I've got players that are not championship material. I think he said something along those lines. In a certain players is it necessary to coach Achonjalo?
Yes, it is. It is. Look at how a coach like Mourinho operates. Mourinho, he will blunt, he will criticize his players in the media, and it can have the effect of getting players to raise their game, to try and prove the coach wrong. So it could be what is known as reverse psychology. You see, so that could be what Coach Bishi was doing there, to get his players to say, asiko good enough to match Highlanders. Let us prove to him, Tina, we are good enough. And their season could turn around, because there is an example that he made during the presser where he said some time back when Mono Mtapa lifted the championship, they had gone for quite a number of games without registering a win. But when they started winning, they went on a run and went on to lift the league championship. And that's what he was hoping could happen also to his team. So those remarks, I think for me, they were just his way of trying to bring out the competitive spirit from his players.
Hopefully he's not going to be misquoted, just like people what have done last weekend. So the local premiership, as we said, enters week 5, and there are quite a number of fixtures that we can expect this week. Prakesa, Tenex are going to come to Bulawayo. They are facing Bulawayo Chiefs. Bulawayo Chiefs by Nankile last week, chicken in a local derby. Their first defeat. Bulawayo Chiefs versus Tenex, River Stadium. What's your take? What can we expect from this game?
I think it's a chance for Bulawayo Chiefs to bounce back to winning ways, because they've had a chance to watch Tenex in action when Tenex were here and they were playing Chicken in at Luveve. So the Bulawayo Chiefs technical team did watch Tenex in action, so they know how they play, although there might be some changes because teams have been signing players. So what could happen is that on Saturday we might see Bulawayo Chiefs maybe rectifying the mistakes that they made against Chicken Inn, where according to me they were found lacking for pace. They struggled to contain the pacey Brian Musa and Michael Charamba on the flanks. So maybe that is something that they might have worked on during the course of the week. So I think it has to be a turning point for them to say we cannot keep on dropping points because of how they have gone about on the transfer market. They've been one of the busiest teams when it comes to bringing in new players.
Just for interest, do you think Basuga Papa could FC?
No, you know what? When it comes to the modern game, teams study each other and plan for each other. So Bulawayo, Chicken Inn rather, had a chance to watch that Bulawayo Chiefs versus FC Platinum game, and because they had a chance to do that, they were able to plan against Bulawayo Chiefs, and their plan was to go at them at an electrifying pace. Because maybe they had noticed that even the Bulawayo Chiefs midfield of Madzongwe, Lakindlela, Abomseve, for me, they are slow. And even their central defense, they are pretty slow. It's only Mkolo who I think is pacey. So modern football, you find people study each other and try to capitalize or try to maybe identify the weak points that they can then have a go at.
So wait to see whether Bulawayo Chiefs are going to bounce back to winning ways when they play 10x at Luveve Stadium. Prediction yako kuna?
Well, I think Chiefs might win it by 2-0.
Okay, so wait to see whether Bulawayo Chiefs are going to win by 2-0, just like what Sakheleni Nxumalo is saying. Then another interesting fixture, ZPC Kariba, they're going to be playing the defending champions, FC Platinum. Platinum last weekend they played Timbari, they drew 0-0. Norman Mapiet, it hasn't been a good run. Sfela Afcon is Nagesa Nangwa. He's back at FC Platinum, still yet to find a rhythm. Plus they've lost quite a number of players. Do they stand a chance against the ZPC Kariba?
Well, they do stand a chance. It depends on how they've been going about with their preparations and also the rebuilding process. Because like you are saying, they did lose quite a number of experienced players. But these are guys that have got a necessary, they've got a team that plays in the eastern region, in the central region rather. So they've got youngsters that have come through. Abu Hora, our local boy from Ema Kandeni here, he did put in a good shift against Bulawayo Chiefs, and I also understand he put in a good shift against Dynamos. So the fact that they managed to play a goalless draw against Dynamos, I think it will give them a lift. They will become confident and start believing that they can compete at the highest level. So it's 11 versus 11, man. So any team does have a chance against anyone. It all depends on the preparations that they would have done, and also how they are going to execute all the plans that they've put in place.
Indeed, so but FC ilahlekelwe ngamaplayers amanye ngamaqembu.
Well, Stan is not a Kleku because Mtuka 96. So it's only that he looks like Umatzvaba, but no. I worked with him when he was with Bulawayo Province under 16 squad. He's a young man.
So he's a young man.
Yes, he is. Yes.
So FC Platinum will be looking to bounce back to winning ways when they play at PC Kariba. Then Cranbourne Bullets are going to be playing Harare City. Manguiro is now back at Harare City, aren't you?
Yes. And Cranbourne Bullets under Nesbet Yabo Saruchera, and they had quite a good start to life in the Premiership when it was the Chibugu Cup. They had a good run there. So Harare City also recalling Umangwiro to come back to start another era there. Well, it's anyone's game. It's still early in the season, and whoever had maybe a longer period to prepare could be in a better position, because like if I come back to the Chicken Inn versus Bulawayo Chiefs game, you could tell that when it comes to fitness levels, Chicken Inn were at a higher level. So maybe it could work for them. Umanguro is coming in, we say because amanyama players are move.
So wait to see whether Harare City are going to beat Cranbourne Bullets. Cranbourne Bullets doing so well in the Chibuku Super Cup. And then now we've got Black Rhinos playing Triangle.
Yes, Rhinos are another team that has also kept their technical team. Yupa Umaru Akonapana has been with the team for quite a while now, while Triangle Ngangale there's been changes because Umangwiro left, but well, they also did lose quite a number of players. while Rhino. Just a few players did move here and there, but I think this one could end in a stalemate.
So, Chuti Rhinos is a fear which I tried.
I do think so.
So wait to see whether, just like what Prakesa is saying which is going to be a draw. Then we've got Ngezi Platinum. Ngezi, they did so well in the Chipuku Super Cup, though they went on to lose in the final. Ngezi Platinum will be playing Yata FC. Ngezi Sawazi Labo, Denver Mkamba, Basho, but they lost to their coach, isn't it?
Yes, I think you say to be suspended, I think pending some investigations into some issues. So, but they've got a coach who's got a premiership experience, Utekshua Chiragui, and it's one of the teams that is well paid in the league, I reckon. And so I do feel the fact that they were playing at home gives them also that home advantage, and I do tip Ngezi against Yada in this one.
Alright, so Ngezi will be looking to bounce back. Remember, last weekend they played on Monday, where they drew with Cape United 0-0. And then moving on into Sunday, Sunday gonna make game amnandi. Sakalisa Bulawayo la. Bulawayo City will be playing Highlanders. Derby.
Well, yes, this one we've touched on, and I do think it's going to be an interesting game because, for one thing, Coach Pilani is one man who's seen it all in the top flight. So you expect him to put in a good fight when it comes to playing against Highlanders. You can also expect him to come in with some mind games to try and get one over Highlanders. So it's going to be an interesting one.
So there's Dynamos will be playing Chicken in Conalea Scotland at the National Sports Stadium.
I think this one is going to be a cracker, considering that Dynamos are a very good side. And they've also gone out there and recruited quite a number of players. Ralph Kaundera was a top player just a couple of years ago in the land. But Chicken, the way they performed against Bulawayo Chiefs, it showed that they mean business. And it's surely going to be a crack of a game as far as I'm concerned.
So Chicken would treat ground.
Yes, they walk the talk.
Yeah. So then we are also going to see Manika Diamonds. We have been doing so well, but they didn't do so well in the Chipuku Super Cup. Manika Diamonds will be playing Cape United. Quite an interesting one. KFC don't see Chinengete and the likes, but I got last weekend they drew with Ngezi.
Yeah, and also Imanyika, they suffered their first defeat of the season last weekend, and so they will be looking to bounce back to winning ways. While Ikeps, they've been talks about Ikeps when it comes to the financial situation, but it's a good game on paper because Imanyika Diamonds, they are the log leaders at the moment because they managed to win their first 3 games of the season. So that can't have been a fluke. It was an opportunity for them to rectify all the mistakes that they were doing. So I think a lot of coaches used Chibuku Super Cup as a pre-season, as preparation to fine-tune their squads. So I think with Johannes Numwa, that's what he did. He fine-tuned his team during the Chibuku Super Cup, and when the league started, he started on a good note. But he has to bounce back to winning ways because you should be able to go on a good run if you want to become champions in any league. So they have to bounce back and go on a good run. And if going on a good run means beating Cape United, the big teams in the country, so be it. And everyone will then see these guys really mean business.
But Cape United, big teams in our business, doing so well. And then we've got the last of the fixtures. Wawa will be playing Highlanders. Highlanders last week stunning Manika Diamonds. Obviously, they're playing a Wawa side that hasn't been doing well.
Yeah, but if you saw the second half against Highlanders, that is wow, there was some improvement there. So I think Luke Petros Chukulile and his technical team during the week, they should have maybe gone on to build on the performance, the second half performance, because they were quite an improved side, although they did give Highlanders some chances that Highlanders failed to utilize. But they were a better team in the second half. But I think it's going to be a long and difficult season for Iwawa because even the way that they were organizing themselves, it wasn't quite good for a team that is campaigning in the top flight league. I think they're still in Imo Diliani Division 1. Maybe it could be the way that they recruit. Maybe they don't have the financial muscle to go out there and bring in new players. And another mistake that they're doing is to play Edmo Tiko Mzanenamo in central defense. And yet he is a creative player who could be releasing their strikers with those, finding their strikers with those passes. So I don't see the reason or a creative midfielder CP. I think it's being wasted there.
But the age, they have.
No man, Ipora at times when you've got a football brain, Utiko has got a football brain, he will let the ball do the running. You don't have to run in football at times. Let the ball do the running.
So that was the rundown of the fixtures that we can expect this weekend. Bulawayo Chiefs are playing Tenants at Luveve Stadium. Then Ngezi Platinum FC are going to play Yada. Then you're also going to see Chicken Inn playing Dynamo Sunsani in Harare. Then Bulawayo City will play Highlanders in a local derby in Bulawayo. Then Kesa just away from the Premiership. We saw the Mighty Warriors winning in Botswana. But unfortunately, they failed to qualify to the AFCON games in Morocco. A sad scenario for the Mighty Warriors after having lost it by 3-1 at home.
Yeah, man. But if you fail to prepare, then prepare to fail. It's as simple as all that. In Botswana, their league also has been on hold. The women's football has not been active. But what they did was they got into camp earlier than the Mighty Warriors. So that gave them a chance maybe to build up some fitness, build up their fitness levels and also work on a lot of things, including combinations and whatnot. And Izim, we only got into camp later on. And that affected Izim when it comes to our fitness levels. Ipotsvele is a team that we've always done well against them. But just because they had prepared better, it worked for them because they came here and scored 3. We went there and scored 2. We could not progress because of the away goals rule. So it should be a lesson for us as Zimbabwe when it comes to sport, that we have to prepare adequately and also maybe make sure that we revive the game. Women's football has got to come back. Junior football has got to come back. Because this is not only a symptom of what our football is when it comes to women's football, but also generally our football, because we tend to concentrate more on the senior national teams. We have been failing to field junior national teams at competitions like Cabo Kosafa and maybe even the Olympic Games. But we've got to do that. We've got to have age group teams that are standing, that are there at under 13 level, at under 15, at under 17, under 20, under 23s. And that way we will know who to choose to represent the country.
But in terms of our preparations, I think that's how we've been doing things. So when something, that's how we've been preparing for these tournaments. So Sakheleni Nxumalo, thank you so much for making time to come through and join us in the 7th episode of the Siqalo podcast.
You're welcome, Washi, and thanks for having me.
So that was Sakheleni Nxumalo, which joined me today in the 7th episode of the Siqalo podcast, where we're looking at the week 5 matches of the Kasilata Premier Soccer League, and also a bit of the women's football. We saw the Mighty Warriors losing on aggregate to the Botswana women's team. My name is Zibanda, aka Marasa. From me and the crew behind the scenes. Peace.